All right. Good morning. Thank you for being here for our presentation on email automation. My name is Rick Maxey. I'm a member of the internal marketing team here at Americaneagle.com.
And I'm Nicole Manali. I'm part of the client-facing digital marketing team.
Before we begin, I just want to mention a couple of things. As marketers and today as presenters, we know the number one rule is to know your audience. So that's what makes it possible to communicate or present to your audience in a way that speaks to them. And the audience that we have here today is pretty diverse. We have people here from transportation and e-commerce and healthcare and banking. So in the area of our number one goal when we put this together, which was for our audience to have some really good takeaways to take back and put into their own campaigns, that posed a little bit of a challenge. The other thing is that I think everybody's probably in a little bit of a different place as far as the maturity of their campaigns. So my point is that our goal, while it is to have useful takeaways for everyone, we're going to cover kind of a broad range of elements, starting with some basic but important elements and ways to improve on them, and all the way through to some advanced features that we'll talk about later. Also to the useful takeaway part, we created an email automation white paper for you guys. It's tips, tools, and tactics for 2020 on email automation, and everybody will get that at the end of our presentation. It's broken up into three maturity categories: basic, pro, and advanced, those tips. So to get started, the first thing we wanted to talk about that Chris actually touched on is there's been a lot written and printed and published in recent years about the demise of email and its effectiveness. And we think it's like anything, that it depends on how it's being used and who's using it. In 2019, we're seeing a lot of statistics that kind of go to the contrary of some of that information that's out there. And so this is a pretty good stat here. As far as its potential for effectiveness, we believe in it, and we know especially email when used with personalization and with automation can be a really powerful part of any campaign. There's a lot of benefits to it, and Nicole is going to speak to some of those now.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. First, I'm going to just talk about why it's beneficial to use email automation. Email automation offers you the opportunity to grow your marketing's effectiveness. With automation, you deliver relevant content to the right audience. Email automation allows you to engage your subscribers when they're ready to take action, and it also saves you time and money. Our clients use a variety of email platforms, email marketing tools, and I can tell you that every tool has automation, even a free MailChimp account. You can run automation with MailChimp. Email automation does require some programming to get it up and running, and that's where we can help you. The setup costs are well worth it, as you will see an increase in ROI, database growth, and more leads that you can turn into customers. I'm going to jump into some tips for automation now. So first, we're starting with the basics. First step to email automation is having good list hygiene. A clean list is a foundation of your email automation because data quality directly impacts your conversion rates. Data quality impacts how you turn a lead into a customer. My research found that 32% of data in people's databases is inaccurate, which can lead to a 23% loss in revenue. It's a disappointing stat, but you have full control over your list. The more data you can collect about a lead or a customer, the more options you have for email automation down the road. And this is the tough part because it does require teamwork. If you have a sales team or a customer service team entering contact information into your CRM, they need to understand how important it is to enter the correct data. Explain to them how the data will be used in emails, and that the extra details that they can collect will allow you to better qualify leads later and put them on an automation track later. So like I said, the unique data in your database allows you to personalize messages with customers' names, order details, company information, and more. But what happens when it goes wrong? We've got some personalization fails here. The top one is the merge field just didn't work. You didn't enter an autofill value for, dear valued customer versus just having a blank field there. The second one is a spelling mistake. Those are easy things that you could have tested or checked before sending the message. These type of personalization fails can be embarrassing and damaging for you as a company. Think about the impression that you give your customer when they open that message and see that there's a mistake in there. They can disregard you. They might unsubscribe. Wanted to include these examples just to tell you how important it is to have that clean data and kind of really push it and tell your team that it's a team effort. Otherwise, if you have this bad data, it's garbage in, garbage out. So as far as personalization, I've got a few tips for improving your chances of having clean data that you can use later. First, you need to strive for uniformity. That means one field equals one purpose. Each field should not store two pieces of information. For example, if you collect first names and last names as one field, it'll prevent you from using them separately for personalization later. You've got to go through exporting it and doing some fun work in Excel to split those up, but that's always, kind of, taking a chance because of people with multiple last names, multiple words in the last name. So another tip would be to create new fields if you want to add something custom. All email platforms have this ability to create custom fields, so you can target your email list to your specific company or business. Instead of that, I've seen problems where people say, oh, well, instead of the phone number in this field, I'm going to put the birth date. Well, what if people don't remember on your team later, 6 months down the road, that birthdays are sitting in the phone number field, and then they send a personalized campaign and phone numbers aren't correct in there. So just make a custom field. It'll be helpful for importing later. You can also protect your database from human error by turning those text fields into drop-down menus when possible. So for example, if you let your leads type in their country of residence, they might put in US, USA, United States of America. That's going to fragment your personalization options down the road because you've got all these different values. So if you use a drop-down instead and then make that required information on your forms, then you're going to get that usable data provided for you from your customers and your leads. Along the same lines, next step to the email automation for your list would be segmentation. Segmentation and personalization are often used interchangeably, and the truth is that segmentation is a personalization tactic that delivers more relevant messages based on your customer's location, interests, purchase history, and more. Segmentation allows you to explore your customer base to identify characteristics and behaviors that you can tailor your marketing efforts to and then nurture your customers that way. So we'll think about a mass email message for a minute, one that you sent to your entire subscriber list. Think about how can you really effectively communicate with your entire list in that one message. Really, you can't, because as Rick said, every customer is in a different point in their journey, a different business. Each one of us in this audience is different, and you'll find value in different pieces of our presentation today. So that's really how you need to think about segmentation. You split your audience into mini lists or segments and then create unique messages for each segment. I have some examples here: age, gender, personal interests, company position, products purchased. The sky is really the limit when it comes to segmentation. It depends on your company. But by creating and using segmented lists within your full database, you'll see a better response, improved open rates, click rates, and better conversion rates from your emails. So you'll hear that email automation is set it and forget it. While it does save you time and money and make your day more efficient, it's not something you can set and forget. It's a tactic you need to always review. Email automation gives you more insight into campaign performance because you're sending that personalized campaign to a segmented list. You're going to get more correct open rates, more data about how your database is responding to those messages because it's a smaller list, compared to like a batch and blast email where you're sending to your entire database. But so while you're reviewing your data, you'll begin to see trends. You'll see a natural separation between your active users and your non-active users. And then you can use this to your advantage to create a re-engagement automation later for your non-active list. By separating your active customers from your non-actives, you'll also improve your email metrics overall. So, okay, sorry. Now that we've covered email basics as far as the lists, we're going to cover basics as far as 2 campaigns you should definitely implement. First, we've got the welcome campaign. It triggers immediately based on an action, like a lead signing up for on your website for a newsletter or opting in to get additional content like a blog. And it's become standard practice for subscribers to look for a welcome message. In fact, 76% of them, 76% of them expect it after they take that action. They're waiting for it. It's surprising really how many companies are not using a welcome campaign. And it's disappointing because it's really an opportunity to have a great open rate. Take an action, get an acknowledgement of the action. It's an opportunity to remind your subscribers about your brand. With how distracted we are these days, that welcome email sitting in an inbox will be necessary to get that person back on your site to convert later, no matter if it's to make a purchase, read a blog, just revisit your site. So as far as a few tips for your welcome email campaign, make sure that it's triggered immediately after sign up to get your best results. Keep the message short and simple, and at the same time showcase your brand and what it has to offer. And then, of course, most importantly, making sure that it's optimized for mobile, because most people are reading their messages on their phones. So if you've already got a welcome campaign running, the next step would be to make it into a series. You can use multiple messages in a series to educate your subscribers about what your company has to offer. The welcome series nudges people down a path to conversion by introducing them to new bits of content and aspects of your business. So the first welcome message I've got here on the right, it's just that thank you. Thanking the subscriber for taking that action on the website. Next up for message 2, you can use that as an opportunity to gather additional information that will be helpful in building your list and giving you more options for personalization and segmentation down the road. So you're asking them to kind of fill out their preferences. The third message then could be offer more information that's going to educate the customer or the lead about your company, provide extra content to entice them to visit your site. We've got testimonials here, kind of some features about shipping, customer service. So that's a great idea for a welcome series. Next up, as far as another campaign that you should be using, definitely if you're an e-commerce company, would of course be an abandoned cart. If you're not using this type of message, you're definitely leaving money on the table. I was really surprised to find that only 19% of the top 1,000 e-commerce companies are sending an abandoned cart email. It blows my mind, especially when you consider that 77% of carts are abandoned. That's a big number, and that 50% of customers will actually complete the purchase when they're asked, when they get that message, when they get that abandoned cart in their email. So again, we're all distracted. There are many reasons why you may not be able to complete your order, so having that email sitting in your inbox is a great reminder, and it illustrates the point that many customers do intend on making that purchase. They just need that little nudge. So as far as tips for your abandoned cart, similar to the welcome, timing is important. Send it quickly. I wouldn't say to send it immediately. Maybe do 24 hours. Give some people some time. So it is actually that official reminder. Include the products that were left in the cart. Include a call to action that points users to the direction of what you want them to do, make that purchase. And so with good timing and good content, you'll see high open rates and click rates. So similar to welcome, again, you can do a series for your abandoned cart. And this I think, is a really powerful tool. All right, so using that series as an abandoned cart, it can definitely improve your conversion rates. For prospective customers new to your brand, that series gives you the opportunity to tell them about why your product is the best choice. And I do have to admit, I play the game of abandoning my cart just to see if I get a coupon. And I want to make sure to remind everyone, it's not necessary to include that discount in that first message. The first message needs to act as that reminder. People were on your site, they put items in their cart, remind them maybe 24, 48 hours later. As far as what your second message for your series for your abandoned cart, this is where you can educate and explain why your company is the best choice, why your product is the best choice. And if there a few days pass and there still has not been a purchase, then you can offer that discount. There's no reason to kind of give it all away on the first message. Take maybe a few days, 6 days, whatever your cadence may be, to then offer that discount later. So we've given you 2 basic email campaigns that you can use for automation. And if you already are using abandoned cart and welcome, you can then make them into a series to kind of really take them to the next level. So next up, I'll talk about landing pages. So it's not enough to send your email campaign. You need to think about where you're sending the users once they click on that campaign, what that destination is. So I see so many email campaigns that take users to the homepage. That's not a good idea. Think of it from a user experience perspective. You're making users hunt for that teaser that you showed them in the email campaign. It can spell frustration, increase bounce rate on your site, and if you're not using a landing page, then you're just making users work too hard once they land on your site. So a landing page, you need to think of it as an extension of your email campaign. It continues the message, it often provides more information, more detail. So you need to match the look of your email to the look of your landing page. So there's a good continuity there. And just That way, then it focuses the attention on the goal of your campaign. As far as content, again, like I keep saying, keep it simple. By keeping your landing page simple, you're going to focus the user on your goal, and focus the user on the action that you want them to take. Your landing page, of course, can provide more information to explain the product or service offered in the email. It can also provide value through social proof, like case studies and testimonials. We've got some on the example here at the bottom of this email. We all love to read reviews. I mean, think of how popular that is, like on Amazon. So you need to showcase all of your positive endorsements on your landing page if possible. Your landing page can also serve to educate your prospects in a similar way that social proof assists with decision making. So does additional information like blog posts, videos, and white papers. So next on, we're going to move on to more advanced automation, and Rick is going to take you through that.
Thanks, Nicole. When you talk about these tricks with the abandoned carts and this kind of stuff, it reminds me of my wife. She would be enemy. We're going to put our enemy number one, a picture of her up there for e-commerce.
Looking for those discounts.
All right, so with the limited time, we did want to show some advanced automation features or tools or functions, and so we chose 3 to talk about that are, probably some of the most impactful. The first one is lead scoring. And lead scoring alone isn't really anything new or that advanced, but it can play a huge role in being the catalyst for some pretty advanced automations. It used to be, you think in terms of lead scoring as opens and clicks for email, but you can also apply scoring, some of the tools today, to, for web page visits, forms filled out, videos viewed, and other things. And it's definitely one of those features that could benefit just about any kind of business. And it can do more than just be an indicator of activity, but also interest. It can provide insights in not only how engaged a prospect is, but what the things are they're engaging with, so it can act as a trigger for another step or even a full campaign. Some tools allow you to set up scoring categories, completely separate scoring category for different products or services. So when prospects are engaging more with content for those pages, then you're going to actually be able to trigger for that another campaign as well. Next one we're talking about is website tracking, and that's the tracking of the browsing behavior of the visitors and prospects on your website. You can track the page visits and how long they've been on the pages. It's not necessarily, I guess, thought of as an email tool or component, but that information can be matched with the leads that are in your CRM, and their activity can be populated into their activity record. So while it has a lot of uses, it can be really powerful for helping to drive your email messaging. Then I want to do dynamic content, which is probably one of my favorites, because with dynamic content, you can send out one message to a lot of your contacts, and it's going to serve different content to different people based on the information that's in their lead. So you could have a different image, a different subject line, different content in the body of the email, depending on the information that's in the prospect's contact fields. There's times when you might not have some of that information or data, but you can also, the dynamic content will work in a way where you have a general piece in there for someone that's going to receive something more general because you don't have that field filled out. But it really adds to the personalization abilities, and it can make it feel like somebody's speaking to you. And not just because they're using your name, but because there's 3 or 4 elements within that one email that strike a chord with you or to your interests. So it can really cut through all the clutter and all the noise. And for me, I think that there's a lot of these companies now, like YouTube and Facebook, and they're working on the business model that is about getting people's attention, and that's what they make profit from. And they're spending billions to get people's attention, and they're making a science out of it. And so it's making it a little bit harder for us to cut through the clutter, and personalization is a great way to do it. I actually want to show you an example of personalization and then we're going to show something personalized and in a part of an automated journey. So we're going to look at a B2B contact here for a B2B company. It's called Acme Consulting. And this is one of their leads is Alan Page. He's previously opted into their newsletter and to receive service alerts. And today he happened to go to their website and clicked into a page about widget services. So Alan's here in the journey. If you think about the process, we really just want to move him further down the line. So what we're going to do is put him into a personalized campaign that's automated to move him down to the next step. He's already engaging with the newsletter and the website, so we want to move him to the next step where he's going to contact the company for more information on the widget services. So I'm going to start with an example of what email 1 in the series would look like and the personalization of it. So you can see here in the subject line, they really get his attention where they're using information from the lead with the industry and his title in the subject line. And like I said, sometimes you might not have that data for some of your leads, so you can set it to have something general to populate for those. For example, you could choose to do that. Like we're using the New York skyline for the image because he's from New York. A company might do that with 3 or 4 of their favorite or best markets and then have a general image for all the other ones. And then, of course, they have his name in the introduction and then the name of the company within the body of the email. So that's 5 points of personalization in one email message. And I really think of it as 6 because it was his behavior on the website that triggered this email in the first place. So it's really kind of 6 points of personalization in that email. So we're going to go into a nurture campaign to show you what an automated nurture campaign might look like. This is just kind of a sample. I want to get you familiar with some of the components and elements in there so it's not confusing. But this would be in this particular tool what a fully built out journey might look like. And then I'm going to back up. In this particular tool, you start with a blank canvas and you just build your journey or your nurturing campaign one step at a time. And at each particular step, you have kind of a set of categories. There's triggers and rules and actions, and you can end the campaign at any point during the journey. So this would be those categories opened up. So there's a lot of different options for each category. You can add them to a list. You can apply tags if something happens. If he did open the email, adjust his score. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with these journeys to customize them. Oh, thanks. I'm going to switch over real quick. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to use the mouse. Is it on? We're at the very top is where this particular builder starts. So this Builder comes with a really cool tool that you can kind of test a journey that you've built out one step at a time. So I'm going to go through the steps of it, but really it would be automated, and once you start it, the journey, everything would take care of itself. So because when Alan went to that page, there was an automation in place to add him to this. It's going to wait a couple of days before sending him the first email. So the first thing it's going to do is have a fail-safe in here to check and make sure that he didn't at some point after he entered this go back and fill out that form, because the goal of this journey is for him to fill out the form requesting more information on widget services. So we're going to begin this, and you'll see that we also placed a tag that he entered this particular campaign, which could be used in some type of automations later. You can pull a list of all the people that were entered into this campaign or completed it. And we also put him on a suppression list so that he won't be receiving other emails while he's in here, because he's signed up for the newsletter and other emails, so he's not getting bombarded while he's getting this series. This particular series is just going to be 4 emails. So when the question comes on the check of whether or not he filled out the form, if he had filled out the form, it would automatically go to the right here, which, again, I said would remove him from the list for this campaign and the other list, and it would end the campaign for him. But we're going to say that he didn't, so it's going to go to email 1, which is a blog post about widget services. And the blog post is on the website. Naturally, it would be great if he goes and reads the blog post and then browses around the website more and ends up filling out the form for more information on the services. And it's going to wait 7 days to see if he does that. That's how we have it set for this one. If he did do it again, it would go here to the right and end the campaign. So that'll be repeated throughout. I'm not going to keep on repeating it, I promise. So we're going to say he didn't, and he's going to go to email 2, which is a case study that a success story for the company on the widget services that Acme provided. So it's another thing that might be of interest to him. And again, we're going to wait 7 days after he receives that and see if he takes action. There's a link on the bottom of that email. If he wants to get more information, it'll take him back to the site. So after the 7-day wait and he didn't fill it out, we're going to send him a really specific email. It's all about the widget services. It's kind of a next step forward in the process. He's learned that we do the widget services. He's learned that we've had a success story and some good experience with it. So now we're going to send him specific information about the services and wait 7 days to see if he fills that out. For the last email in this campaign, we're going to send him one that's all text, and it has the signature in the email of a rep from the company, so it kind of has a personalized look and feel. Because he hasn't done it yet, you know, it's asking him if he would like to discuss it with somebody or if he has any questions about it, things like that. And it's going to be a personalized looking email, and it's going to end with a question to give him a good chance that he'll reply to it. Because it's got the rep's signature on it, if he does reply to it, it's going to, that reply will go to the rep, and so then the rep would take it from there and do the follow-up with it. So if he didn't, and obviously I keep this pretty simple. There's a lot of other things that we could have done in here, but since he didn't do it in the 4 emails, now we're going to have it assigned to that rep, and the rep will get a task to say, hey, this guy just finished this campaign. You should follow up with him. The rep would then go take a look at the lead, see what his activity's been like, and make a decision what to do. Most likely, he'll give him a call. So then that'll end the campaign for him. He's taken off the lists. He's taken off the suppression list, so he starts receiving the newsletter again. That is the nurture demo. Oops. Go back. Thanks.
Need more hands.
Okay. Okay. Just want to end with a couple of things. Excuse me. Everybody should have the an email in their inbox now. I mentioned the white paper we were going to give to everybody. You should all receive that in your email at this point. 10 tips, tools, and tricks, or not tricks, tactics for email automation for 2020. Hopefully, that could be some good takeaways in there for you too. And then we just want to say if anybody has any more interest or wants to get more information about email automation, any of the things that I discussed or that Nicole discussed, you have your feedback there that you can put some comments in there asking for more information. So with that, we'll see if anybody has any questions for us about email automation.
Hold on.
Oh, is that what Chris is doing?
That's what I'm doing.
Packer fans are slow. It'll take a while.
So when you were talking about your landing pages earlier, and I guess this is the answer might be it depends, but are you using a landing page on a website that's buried in the web page somewhere that gives them access to get back out, or are you using like a microsite, or what are you using?
It'll be a page that's not visible in the navigation, but then you'll still have, it'll be a page that's not visible in the navigation, but you can have other call to actions on there to take people to other sections of the site. You can still kind of show the breadcrumb, you can show the top navigation so that they can interact with other pages on your site once they're finished with the landing page content.
Okay. So that would mean you're not trying to get an opt-in, you're not trying to get an email or a name or a phone number at that point?
Well, we'd already have the email.
Okay, and that's there,
But then,
okay.
yeah, you can definitely have a form on there to collect more information, more info about their preferences, or if it's an industry, whatever it may be. But yeah, I would definitely recommend having some sort of form on there as well.
So in a situation where you don't have that, would you recommend a microsite or a smaller, just dedicated landing page, or something still in the site?
I think I would still have it connected to the site somehow. Yes, sir.
It does make me think of one of my other favorite automation tools that we didn't talk about is some have a progressive profiling tool where your forms on your website can be basically set to not ask for information that you already have, so
Right.
you can kind of gather new information with each form that's filled out, fill
Right.
out your leads.
That's a much better user experience. Anybody else?
Chris, any questions? Not bear related, please?
No, then I have none. No, I guess I would just add, so one of my gigs beyond working here is I'm an instructor at a couple of different colleges, and I'm going to do a pop quiz real quick. What's the one thing that's been sort of a factor in all the presentations that we've had today? What's the one aspect that's been super important? Anyone know?
Personalization.
Personalization for sure, but what enables and makes that possible? Data, right. So data is totally key to all of this, right? So if you want to do the email segmentation that we're talking about here, if you want to do the personalization, you have to start with the clean data. That was super important. And one thing I would encourage you to think about, talking to your account manager about, is maybe having a block of hours opened up so that we can help you clean up that data, whether it's your email list, hygiene that was talked about at the beginning, or if it's product data. We have a lot of clients that have data that's all over the place, the SKUs and the numbers and everything is all out of whack. We can put together a block of hours to help you with that product data, with that email marketing data. If it's wholesalers, distributors, if you've got data that's a mess there, we can help you clean all that stuff up so that you can do all these sort of personalization and segmentation type campaigns. So if that's of interest, if you think your data is just all over the place, please talk to your account manager about that. We've just in the last couple of weeks opened up a couple of different blocks of hours to help clients with that, because that enables everything else downstream that's been talked about. So I'd encourage you to keep that in mind.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank
Chris.
you.
Go Pack.
That's how you had to end it?
Yeah, that's all I had to end it, yes. So at 11:50 in this room, we're going to be talking about creating captivating content. Content is king, of course, as I'm sure you've heard. So we're going to talk about strategic writing for the web. There's writing for the web. There's writing for the search engines. What do you do? Where do you pay the most attention? We'll learn about that in a little bit. Upstairs in Mugio at 11:50 is the art of the plan. It's going to be a hands-on exercise about planning for a redesign and all the steps that have to go into play in order to make that happen. So we're going to have a whiteboard session and really kind of walk you through some best practices from some of the senior project managers. They'll help you sort of figure out all the things to consider, all the moving parts to get a successful redesign project under works. So that is upstairs in Mugio at 11:50. And don't forget, between the 12:30 and 2:30 lunch, the one-on-one meetings, building tours,